Hugh Hefner, a true American icon, created an empire that was unrivaled.
Although some of his bunnies may have gone rogue, it's because of the love and respect that we received from the man behind it all.
The Rogue Bunnies' mission is simple: 100 Playmates taking control of their valuable IP, while honoring Hef's iconic Playboy style and bringing that experience to our collectors.
Like only we know how. Because after all, we did learn from the best.
Relive the stories from the most prominent celebrity home in history.
From those of us that lived it,
The employees that worked it,
and the guests who loved it.
And
the Mayhem continues!
Security!
Yes.
I think that kind of tells you the kind of show that we're going to be having. Who do we run into? Another family member. Nope, he doesn't have a layout. Though if he did, I think you just said you would do full bush.
Full bush. Full on.
The one and only Kim Garrett, personal security for the boss back in the day.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to Rogue Bunnies, man.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry. I want to apologize for my co-host asking you about your pubic hair.
Hey, when you sit on this couch, everything is,
When did that all start? Was it like late 90s?
Well, my year, when I shot my centerfold, I was told by Alexis Vogel, who is the makeup artist, she said, if you don't grow your hair out, they're going to glue it on. So
what?
Yeah, because
glue
on pubic hair because they didn't want. And I talked to Marilyn. I said, Marilyn, I don't know if I'm going to have time for this, and I don't want to glue on a fake hair or whatever. It's going to be really, it's going to affect my taking the pictures.
I think that's called a merkin.
Oh.
Not a toupee, but a merkin.
A merkin.
I don't think the gluing on would be the bad part. It's ungluing.
Yeah, the ungluing, right?
Would be the bad part.
Yeah.
So I talked her into letting me keep it. So I was told, I don't know if it's true, the first Playmate with the landing strip.
Really?
Allegedly. I'd have to go back. We'll have to look in the book.
Well, we
I'm
went
going to excuse
through
myself and do some research.
Yeah.
So obviously for decades, eons, the full bush was what was going on.
Oh, yeah.
Then the landing strip came out, grooming, trimming came out, and then the landing strip all of a sudden disappeared.
Yeah. Oh, no. And then there was years where there was nothing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And it was like every girl. For like 3 years, not one girl had a stitch of hair down there. And I was like, okay, I guess this is the new fad.
Was it a fad that you were into? Like you were like going, hey, because it's a lot of upkeep.
Not if you wax.
See, it sounds different for a guy. The whole waxing process.
It can get painful, but then you don't have to deal with anything for a month practically.
See, I have a problem with it because I'm old school. I'm an old cat, and I come from the old days where a woman had pubic hair. If I looked down there and there was no pubic hair, I'd be like, let me see your driver's license, because
right,
over 18? You know what I'm saying?
Understandable.
Yeah, it was a thing. But someone must have liked it if it was so friggin' popular.
I'm glad that you brought up about the driver's license, right? Are they over 18? So you're one that can clarify. Nobody came up to the mansion if they were underage other than a family event like Easter.
Well, dinner or something.
Yeah, dinner like that. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, correct. Of course, your daughter would come up for dinner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But sometimes people get these weird ideas in their head of as if there was this crazy frolicking expose of underage women, and I'm like, that never happened.
Not on my watch, brother. I will tell you.
I mean, you can attest to that. What every person had to go through. There was as security,
exactly.
You had to vet everyone that came up.
Don't they have to be 21?
And it was like a background that they went through
Thank
before
you. See,
they
I want
were
people
able
to hear
come
this.
to
This
the
is
parties.
the truth.
Yeah, this stuff about 14-year-olds were on that. No.
All the BS that came out with Cosby, right?
Exactly.
And I'm like, wait a minute. I think you and I, Kim, talked about this. Like, dude, there's security logs. Do people understand you can't make up lies about the mansion because everything is documented?
Yeah.
It's funny. I was just talking to a young lady over here a minute ago. I said, or a gentleman that was with Ava, we were talking. I said, I got pulled into the Cosby thing because of being security. His attorneys got a hold of me, and they were asking questions, and I started bringing up things about the log, and they're like, can you prove that? Well, they don't realize I collect everything, and you know that.
Oh,
Anybody that's
yeah.
on my
Oh,
Facebook
yeah.
knows all the stuff that I collect. I have logs from the mansion. I kept them. And some of the stuff, if we would do a report or something and it got logged, I would keep a copy of it just in case something came up later on. Well, when this came up, and I said, well, nothing happens on those grounds that does not go documented into the computer.
Amen.
He goes, well, can you prove that? I said, give me your fax number. And I faxed him a log, and he's like, wow. I said, yeah. I said, and as far as this accusation that Mr. Hefner told Mr. Cosby to go up to the room, I said, time out. I said, for as much as we know the Playboy Mansion belonged to Hef, the lady that ran that place was Mary O'Connor.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
And nothing happened without Mary's knowledge. Hef wasn't able to give people authorization to stay in a room. That went through Mary O'Connor. And then it came directly to us in security. And we opened a locked door, documented it in the computer that so-and-so went into the room, whether it's one person or two person, everybody's name goes into that computer. When they come out of that room...
I didn't even know that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it gets even better.
And when they
Keep
come
going.
out of that room, we document that. It goes in the computer. Every person that drives onto that mansion...
Yeah, I knew that.
They were
yeah.
documented, and everybody in their car was also documented.
Right.
They're like, wow. I said, so for this individual to make these accusations that she went up to a room and Mr. Hefner gave Mr. Cosby a key to open the door, that didn't happen.
Right.
I or my contemporaries in there held the keys in a locked safe in our security office. When that door was to be open, we retrieved the key, unlocked the door, let a person in, documented in the computer, boom. They're like, wow. I said, my wife has been to a number of parties up there. I can go back and find the log, the day, the time, the party she went, and her name will be on that log.
Right.
When she entered onto the property and when she exited the property.
And it went a next step. In the butler's pantry, they had the black book. It was a physical black book. Big, huge, giant black book that we put together. At the top, you would see, of course, the date, and then it had the multiple rooms. Okay? All the rooms throughout the mansion. Every person that stayed there were written in. So security would then call to the butler's pantry and then say, all right, so-and-so staying in bedroom 3. You write that in. The time, the initial of the butler putting it in. Everything was documented. What the boss ate, who came on the grounds, when they left the grounds. You know, so-and-so's on property, so-and-so's off property.
100%.
Everything, every meeting, any just tour.
Yep,
Someone
every
came out with a
tour.
tour,
Yep.
every list of everything.
Yep.
And so when you hear these false rumors, you know, I just go, how can they even think that they're going to get away with this when this was the most secure place? I think even more secure, as we're finding out, than, like, say, you know, White House officials that don't have logs.
Garages with confidential paperwork in there.
You know what I mean? You can't have said that you ever were at the mansion without knowing that there's document.
Yeah, if you were at the mansion.
And not only that, there's cameras everywhere, right?
Cameras
There's
everywhere.
times I've been in, like, the game room and it's late at night, and someone would, one time someone came up to me and I was kind of backing up, and security came in and they said, are you okay? And I'm like, oh, yeah, you know, they are watching every move that's
Yes.
happening on there. So it'd be really hard to get away with something.
It's probably the most documented private residence in America.
More so than the White House, I would say.
I would say that. I would
Really?
agree
Oh,
with that.
yes.
100%. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We're going to take a quick break and come back to this.
We are Rogue Bunnies Mayhem.
Hey guys, this is Raquel Pomplum, Playmate of the Year 2013 and Gold Genesis Rogue Bunny with exciting news. Have you ever wondered what the mansion parties were like? Well, we have the next best thing in Vegas, baby! Purchase passes to our Rogue Bunnies Mansion 2.0 party in the Verona Sky Villa at the West Gate on September 14th. You'll mix and mingle with me and 15 gorgeous Rogue Bunnies. Enjoy food, drinks, and music in an epic setting. Just visit mansion.roguebunnies.com to secure a pass before it's too late. See you in Vegas.
Welcome to the metaverse.
Hi, I'm Brandy Roderick, and you're listening to Rogue Bunnies Mayhem.
Who got all those logs?
They're somewhere. I'm quite sure they're somewhere.
Well, I guess if they moved a computer, then that's...
Well, see, the log that he's talking about was the backup. So if something happened to the computer and we lost information, they had a hard copy of all that information.
One place that was willing to make these for us, they were in Santa Monica, and I'd have to go, and they'd bind them and everything, the whole thing, and everything had our thing, and everything with our bedrooms.
Oh, it had all the information.
Yeah, everything was printed. Each page, everything was written in there that every manager, like when we would come into work, that's the first place you went. You said hi to security, you walked in, even probably before you started settling your desk. You walked to the butler's pantry, and boom, that's what I'm looking. Okay, what happened last night? Who's staying here? I need to know what's going on. Everything. What did the boss have for dinner last night?
Exactly.
Which was a great clue because there was a certain meal that if he ate it, he's not feeling too good.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
You're like going, oh, he ordered that last night? Okay, boss ain't feeling too good. You could tell moods. You could tell things by everything written in that book, and you knew how to plan for your day.
That's so cool.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's amazing.
100%. And like I said, documentation. I mean, that was, like Brian just said, that was everybody. Staff that walked on there when they came on, when they went off, and they're there every day, but it went in the log every single day. Every time that limo left the lot with the boss in it, it was documented when he left, who was with him, and what items of food were in the limo to make sure that it was complete for the boss. I mean, everything on there was documented.
Well, here's it is. I'm glad you brought up about the food. Even the food, every meal that was ever made, you had documentation of who prepared it.
Oh.
Who served it.
I guess that takes away any, if anything happens, then
right.
we know
if
where the
anything
source.
were to happen, and let's say someone needed to go to an emergency room, we could grab the book, security could grab the book, take it with them, and go right to the, okay, this is what was it? Is it something, an ailment related to food? We know exactly who made it. We know exactly who served it. And then we can backtrack from there. Where did foods come from? Like as we would bring in like big vendors and come, everything was documented. Insane.
It was great. I mean, I was in law enforcement for over 20 years, and we document a lot of stuff in law enforcement.
Yeah, they do.
Playboy
right?
Mansion documented probably 3 times the amount of stuff that we document in law enforcement. It was so easy for us, like Brian says, to be able to follow a path or a trail if something came up. You could go right there, and you wouldn't even really have to delve too deep into stuff because it's right there. Oh, I need to go talk to Brian because Brian was here at this time and did this. Now I don't have to try to go, hey, Victoria, did you happen to see so-and-so over there? I could look at that log and go, boom, I need to talk to Brian.
Why do you think this, what was the biggest point of creating this system, do you think? Just a protective standpoint?
From a law enforcement perspective, Mr. Hefner was a very smart individual.
Yeah, he was.
And that is what smart people do because they know that they're under scrutiny and suspicion and all this stuff just being who they are.
Right.
So when you put me under suspicion, under scrutiny, and you say, well, hey, that's fine. You can say what you want, but this book, these logs speak for themselves.
Yeah.
So I think that was something that I'm quite sure he had the same concept in Chicago years ago. The technology wasn't what it...
Yeah, it was all handwritten.
It was all handwritten
probably.
then, but I guarantee you, because knowing the boss and listening to him talk to students and stuff, his thought concept was developed way back when. And this was just a carryover of that concept that he has always held to, in his business aspect. Very smart man. I mean, I document a lot of stuff, but I document more now, and I'm not even in a position that the boss is in, but it's good to have those things because if anybody ever questions anything about you, it's like, hey, here you go.
I learned a lot from both my father as well as the boss. My father told me growing up saying, always document, always have a paper trail. There should always, anything you do. And then once we went into the world of emails, I prefer to do emails. People want to do kind of like some text with me and stuff. I'm like,
email.
Send me an email. Send me an email on that. And I think it's growing through this world that we recognize how valuable that is.
Exactly.
I'm sure, Scott, like for your business, right? Yep. With broadcast support, people says, hey, this thing happened or that, and you go, whoa, wait a minute. You can go back into documentation.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. Behave in an ethical manner and document the hell out of that. Absolutely, because when it comes to any kind of contest or litigation, often it boils down to whoever has documented better.
Some documentation, even if it's a scribble in a calendar.
Exactly.
It's coming down to that.
Whoever documents better wins.
100%.
What do you think about between the logs and Hef's scrapbook? You could almost do a play-by-play of his life. I mean, seriously.
Is everything at UCLA now? Does anyone know for sure?
I don't know what happened to the archives.
Because, I mean, all of his scrapbooks, like you said, I mean, the boss documented every single day. Every picture of every guest that came up was taking pictures with him. I mean,
and you don't know where you don't know where those went?
We used to have like these calendars for every day of what was happening at what time, meetings, who was coming out, all these.
Yeah.
It was the most insane of documentation. That has to be at UCLA, I'm imagining. If not, there's the HMH Foundation. Maybe they archived it with them.
They must have it.
That might be where it's at, yeah. But you're right. He documented every news article, every television spot that popped on and mentioned anything about Playboy or Hefner. It was put into his scrapbook. I mean,
the scrapbook he started it as a teenager.
As a child.
17, 18 or something.
He did a cartoon.
He was an artist.
Hugh Hefner, I think it was the character.
So cute.
You know? So the boss, like we were talking about, being very meticulous, documentation, expecting things to be a certain way. You got to travel with him. We had security that was at the mansion, okay? So people understand that's what they would do. Their job was to make sure that everything was secure at the mansion. There were the very few picked out to be his entourage. You were the ones that were there, his detail.
Yes.
Maybe I used the wrong word, his detail.
Yeah, well, that's
to
correct.
take care
That's
of him.
correct word.
And you would go and pre-check places out. What was that like for you? Like anything you can recall?
You know, it's very interesting. Yeah, something that always really stands out in my mind is like you said, we were his detail. I mean, I even had one step more because I was also an EMT at the time, so I was there.
Right.
I carried the AED and the oxygen and all of his medical records in my pocket wherever we went. But the thing that really stands out to me the most is, like we said earlier, the boss was such a meticulous creature of habit that if he would take out a host of the Playmates or other young ladies to a restaurant anywhere in the city of Los Angeles, I would go, if we were going to show up at the restaurant with him and his entourage at, say, 7 o'clock, I would go there about 3 in the afternoon, whatever the restaurant was. I would meet with the head chef. I would have all of his food.
I was going to ask about the food.
With a list of how it should be prepared.
We're talking about the lamb chops, right?
The lamb chops, exactly. The peas, you know.
The Le Sueur peas.
The Le Sueur peas.
Petite.
Yes. And I would present this to the head chef at whatever, and we're talking.
Did any chef ever go, excuse me?
Never. And that was that.
I actually had one time happen.
You had one? I never had one.
Remember Bridget's Beaches? Mm-hmm. Okay, when Bridget was doing the show Bridget's Beaches, they were doing it at Moonshadows in Malibu. And I had to go ahead to send the meal. Security was busy getting things set. So I said, I'll go ahead because I had to go there anyway to help decorate and get things set up for the show. So I get there and I go to the chef. He was not happy. He threw a fit. I brought it in to go, here's the lamb chops. Here's what's wrong with my food.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, yeah.
Look, don't take it personal, man. It's not about you. He doesn't know who you are. It's just he knows what he likes. So what's the big deal? Here, just make it like this. Dude, and he went off, apparently got into a fight with the management.
Wow.
Wait, who did?
The head chef.
And he freaking left.
The head chef?
He freaking left. They brought someone else in to cook it. He refused.
See, I've gone on enough.
Who cares?
Who cares? Well, he had an ego. That's all.
I know, but come on, we all know. The boss is going there for one reason and one reason only. He's there to support Bridget.
Exactly.
Do this show. He's going in, and he wants to eat what he wants to eat.
Yeah.
He's not going to sit there going, oh, my gosh, this meal was amazing. Who's the chef? Bring him out. He's not there for that. But I think sometimes people are hoping for that validation, and then they get all pissed.
If the chef had been smart, he would have prepared Hef's meal the way he wanted and also made his own interpretation of it and maybe offered that as well.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea.
To answer your question, which was...
Did he ever order
Never
the menu?
while I was with him. It was always whatever we took, and I went on a number of them, and I never had a single incident like that thank God. But it was very knowing and having a little bit of a background in that business as well. It's truly unheard of that a kitchen will let outside goods come in to be prepared in their facility. Sometimes I think it has to do with health code violations and things like that. But
it wouldn't fly now.
Oh no, not now because of the pandemic and all the other stuff. But I think because of who the boss was and the impact that he had globally and specifically in the Los Angeles area, none of the people I ever dealt with, none of the chefs ever pushed back at all. They all took it, said, we'll see you at 7 o'clock.
And I don't know if you answered this question, but did he ever, or you too, Brian, did he ever send his food back that they prepared for him?
Never.
Or did he ever complain like, oh my God, this sucks and I can't eat this?
Never when I was with him. And again, I think that, he may not have liked it, but being the consummate professional that he was. He would, he was there, like Brian said earlier, when he was there with a host of people, he was there in support truly of those individuals. So I don't ever think he would have made a scene that would have brought any kind of negativeness toward the party that was there. If he didn't like it, he may not have, and he may have just not eaten it, but it was never made aware to us that, hey, this stuff is terrible, let the kitchen know. And I don't know if, Brian, maybe you had it.
Never heard of doing a complaint, but I agree with you. As a gentleman, you know what? If he didn't like something, he just won't eat it.
Yeah.
We never see him eat at the mansion, except on Thanksgiving or Christmas with the turkey leg.
And it was more or less the turkey leg shop.
It was always the turkey leg. And that's the only thing I've ever seen him really eat besides cake, his birthday cake.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So when he goes out to dinner to a restaurant, he actually eats.
Yes,
so I thought because he likes to eat in his room alone and
true,
right?
He would eat with the party that that he was with, and again, I think it all goes down to his being the person he is at the mansion. Yeah, this is my domain. I can kind of do what I kind of want to do. If I want to eat in my room, I'm going to eat in my room. And nobody's going to say anything. But when he's out in public, and he knew that eyes were on him constantly whenever he was there.
Sure.
And, if he's there with a host of other people and they're eating and he would be sitting there, the first question would be the question that came up earlier. What's wrong? Does he not like the food?
Oh, yeah.
So I think just to alleviate any of those potential situations, I've always saw him sit there and eat and
enjoy himself.
Yeah, exactly.
What was it like for you, being at these clubs? Because you had a dual responsibility. You had to recognize the public that here he was an icon and protect him, making sure people just weren't jumping into his VIP area. At the same time, making sure that he was accessible because he wasn't that kind of guy that was put offish or snobbish. He wanted people to know, hey, I'm out. Like he had said, I didn't realize how many people were waiting for me to come back out. What was that like for you out and about?
It was
or like traveling. Like when you go traveling, go to con,
Exactly. Fortunately for me, again, like I said, my background in law enforcement, I had a lot of dignitary protection in the past, and I've dealt with individuals that don't want any contact at all. And then somebody like the boss who he made his fortune, he made who he is based on his contact with people. So myself and the team that we had all understood that. So we knew how much to let people come in. And we also, we had a great leader. Joe Piastro was a good guy.
Oh, God.
The best.
Joe Piastro was a good guy.
Yes.
And Joe had been with the boss since the 70s. Even me coming in there with my law enforcement background, I relied on Joe's knowledge in history of being with Mr. Hefner to kind of lead us as to when we need to tighten things up or when we needed to loosen things up. So that really made it easy for me and my team, because my team was comprised predominantly of law enforcement officers and stuff. But Joe, who had been there, knew, and he just had that sixth sense.
Yeah.
Joe was a very interesting individual, and he had that sixth sense to know, hey, guys, we might want to, do this over here and kind of keep an eye over there. We played off of him, and by God's grace, it all worked out great.
And let's say he traveled, right? When he's out traveling, it's one thing to have the boss be recognized in a club, right? But it's Hollywood, okay? It's Hollywood. You expect to see someone. But now you're in Europe, and you're walking down the street, especially when filming for the Girls Next Door show. What was that experience like?
Those experiences, a lot of people respected the boss, so they didn't like a lot of celebrities rush him and, just overwhelm him with stuff. It was always more cordial, almost asking the question without asking the question. Hey, can I come up and shake his hand? He wasn't big on handshaking and that kind of stuff, but he would converse with people. So the individuals were always It was great because people ask me all the time now when they find out what I did. Well, how was it? I said, look, I don't have stories where we had to pick people up and toss them around, and we wouldn't have done that anyway out of respect for him, because not only were we there to protect him, my guys were asset protection people, and that means the entire Playboy family, the entire Playboy company is an asset. So anytime we did something that wasn't right, that asset was on the line. So my guys knew that. So when we would go out, people asked, I said, people were very cordial with him. And I think it was a lot to do with his personality too. People feed off the energy of celebrities, and his energy was just, he was a calm energy, and it was great. I mean, some of the easiest, I'd be overwhelmed. People everywhere, but as far as having to get in people's faces and stuff, never had to do anything like that.
Right.
Did you ever have to make a choice when girls would approach, go, she's pretty hot, I'm going to let her through? Or was there other times where like, please stand down, lady, because that would they...
I never made that choice, and I'll tell you why. Because I had somebody I could always refer to who was the boss. If the boss saw her and she was looking, I'll tell you a quick story on that. But if the boss was looking and he gave me the eye...
Okay, you had a look.
And I'll tell you a quick story from one of the mansion parties. Because we were always in front of his cabana.
Yeah, of course.
So I was there at one party, and I think it was a boxing party, if I recall correctly. And there was a young lady there, and she wanted to meet Hef. And she was standing in the front. She was like, I'd really like to meet him and get a picture with him, and this and that and the other. And I said, okay. And knowing the boss he loved boxing. That was one of his things he enjoyed. So she was sitting there. She had on a tank top and a pair of boxing gloves around her shoulder, hanging over. I said, you want to get the boss's attention? I said, step over there, take that tank top off, just let the boxing gloves hang over as your cover, and watch. So she goes, are you sure? I said, try it.
Try it.
Sure enough, she did it. She stood back there. The boss tapped me on the shoulder. Jim, she can come up and meet me. Bingo. So I let him make those choices.
Isn't that funny? Location. Anywhere else, that would be sexual harassment.
Exactly. And the crazy part about that is...
And she's like, are you sure? I'll do it.
Yeah. And the crazy part is we had to go through sexual harassment training at Playboy.
Remember that?
Yeah, well,
that
it's a fine line. It's a fine line, right?
Oh, my God. We could go on and on about that. That was the biggest joke ever. It was freaking hilarious.
Well, it's really the only place you could go and, be relaxed and not worry.
The people that came and did that, right, trying to go, what were we like? Because we're playing jokes throughout the entire time. And he goes, you know what? I can't decide whether it's you guys or Vivid. That was like the worst to have to go and do these at, because we just...
Probably Vivid.
So
yeah, they're a little
we need to wrap up, Kim. We could talk forever, and I would love to have you come back.
Thank you, brother.
We're going to keep doing this.
Yes.
We got the big party. I hope you're going to stay in town.
I'm going to try to stay in town, brother.
And thank you for always protecting the girls, dude.
Hey.
You come all the way. For everyone that knows, Kim lives in Arizona.
Yep.
Okay? Kim comes all the way here to protect the girls, because you're protecting the family.
There it is. You hit it. I was about to say, it's not just the girls. This is a family, and that was the thing that people didn't realize when they went after Hef. They went after his family.
Yeah.
And we all stood up and said, no, you don't go after the family, and that's why I come out here, because it's family.
If you could say, as we wrap up, homage to Hef, you could say what you've always wanted to say to him, face to face, mano a mano. What would you want? Is there anything you want to thank him for? Anything you want to say, like, hey, what he made an effect in your life?
I'd like to thank him for the opportunity that he gave me. And when I grow up, Hef, I want to be just like you.
I love it.
Yeah.
Kim, how does everybody follow you?
You can find me on Facebook at KD Garrett, and I'm on there.
Garrett.
Garrett.
TT.
Yes.
Yes.
2 T's.
Right.
Awesome.
Thank you, Kim.
So
Thank
great
you so
talking
much.
to you.
I'm Real Mr. Mayhem on Instagram.
I'm Victoria Fuller on Twitter on NFT Bunny.
Scott,
you can find me at concertzero.com.
Nice.
Hey, thank you again, Kim. We're going to get back out here, and I just heard the champagne popping, so we got a
Popping.
new bottle ready to go.
Bottles popping.
All right, thank you. You've all been listening to Rogue Bunny's Mayhem, and
The mayhem continues.